Hello, my beautiful creatives. This is Chrissie B with beautifulcreatives.com, and I am so excited to be able to bring you this new video today. It is an art journal watch the process video. Now, this is watch my process, how I do art journal pages nowadays. There is no real rules for art journaling. Really is about getting out of your head and playing on the piece of paper. So let me just I wanted to give you a heads up on how I'm doing my pages before you start watching it, because I think you're gonna have a lot of questions because I do it very differently than most people do on YouTube. When you're watching YouTube video, you usually watch the type of videos like I used to do, where it'd be the full 2-page spread and it would be from start to finish, you'd see the whole thing. Well, the problem that I find with that is when I was not working as many hours, and especially when I was not working because I had taken 6 months off of work, I had all the energy in the world. I had copious amounts of energy. I was able to really just take the time to start the page, just kind of meander through it, take my time, come up with some kind of a thought as I was in my head, and voila, it'd be done all in a day and it'd just be finished. Since I've gone back to work a year and a half ago, I don't have that luxury. And you know what? You might not either. My guess is that most of us have little snippets of time that we're trying to squeak in our day to like do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. So the way that I work is I have a stack of about 50 art journal pages, single sheets that I already have prepared. And if you want to know how I prepare those, go back to the art technique #1 video, and it will show. I kind of do a flip through of all of those and you kind of see what they are that I'm talking about. So my art journal process is essentially this. I set a timer on my phone for 15 minutes. I give myself 15 minutes whether I want to art journal or not, because sometimes, especially if I had a bad day at work or if I'm stressed about something, I have a tendency to not want to art journal. It seems like a lot of work. If I set a timer for 15 minutes, the rule that I have made for myself is that if I don't feel like art journaling past that 15 minutes, I don't have to. But at least I got in the room and I started doing it. The beauty of doing that, however, is that even though I do not have a lot of energy at the end of the day and my mind is like, I'm spent, I'm done, my brain has worked so hard today, I don't know if I can make it think anymore. But the beauty of doing the 15-minute rule is by the time the 15 minutes is up, I'm now in my groove and I want to keep going. So you might notice in the video that I shut my alarm off and I just keep going. And in all honesty, I ended up doing about an hour's worth of unedited art journaling to get to that point. So I did speed it up and I did cut things out for time. I tried to keep all of the actual movements that I'm doing, like the actual adhering of paint or stamping or stenciling or whatever that is, I try to keep all of that in. So if I make a mistake, you see my mistakes, I will not edit those out, because the reality is that mistakes are a part of art journaling. Mistakes are a part of mixed media. Mistakes are a part of life, people, and we have to work with them. So I hope that leaving those in there will inspire you to figure out how to fix those things too. Everything is fixable, especially if you're using acrylics. I always like to tell people acrylics are so much like colored whiteout. If you use opaque acrylic paints, they will completely cover anything you don't want to see underneath it. And if you don't use acrylics, just tearing some paper and putting it on top of your mistake, gone. Voila, new background, start again. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. So the way that this works is if you have not taken a look at that video, my technique video #1, go there and take a look at that and you'll see examples of what I've done for this stack of pages that I pull from. When I start my 15 minutes, I generally take at least 3 pages out of that. There's no rhyme or reason. I just pick 3 that kind of feel like need to be painted on or something. And I work on it as long as I can until my brain says, nope, don't know what else to do with that, set it aside. And I pick it up and move it aside and bring the next one in. Do the same thing. I always make sure I start with at least 3 or 4 colors on my palette that match, match is the wrong word, that coordinate with each other, so that I generally have all cools or all warms. And sometimes if I have more time, I will put any color I want out. But for this particular one, I did all cools. And you'll see that sometimes I will pull more pages, even though I'm actively working on 3 pages. I'll pull more pages when I have more paint on my palette because I don't want to waste my paint. Paint can get expensive. So, what more do you need to know? Yeah. This also works for people who don't have a lot of time. It also works for people who are a little bit ADD, like me. I get myself stuck. I get too much in my head. I overthink the process, and I have a tendency to make myself want to quit because I'm overwhelmed. So this is a really good way to take a page, work on it for 5 minutes, put it aside. Pick another page, work on it for 5 minutes, put it aside. Another page, work on it for 5 minutes, put it aside. And bring all 3 pages back, work on your first page, do a different technique on it, put it aside. Do the same kind of technique to the second one, put it aside. Same technique to the third one, put it aside, and then start it all over. And then when you're mentally done, like you don't want to do anymore, or it's not fun, or it's causing you anxiety or stress in any way, shape, or form, you can do one of 2 things. At least this is what I do, one of 2 things. I either grab a new sheet off of my stash that doesn't have any color on it, or I give myself permission to stop for the day. So that way, every day, I try to at least get 15 minutes of some creative at my art bench time in. And that, for me, is art journaling. So I hope that helps the explanation. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section. I'd be very happy to help you. I love answering your questions. It makes me happy. Anyways, I love you so much. Thanks for watching. Have fun.